Call to order the meeting
I
of
lost
the,
it again.
what?
I lost it.
Lost
Yeah,
what?
can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. So what am I doing wrong?
We see you, sweetheart.
No, we can see you.
Well, I can't see you. I must have hit something on the computer.
Maybe hit Alt Tab,
Wait a minute.
just in case you had another screen go in front of it. The Alt Tab key.
One more.
Here
There we go.
You get it?
I got it. I'm good now.
Okay. Okey
I'll
doke,
say,
sir.
just look out your window. We're all standing in your front yard looking in. Anyway, we'll call the meeting to order. Attendees, say if you're here. Karen Schultz,
Here.
Rachel Boyer, Lori Fairbay, Kate Bliss, Pat Wheeler,
Here.
Bob Blair here. So we have only to hear from Rachel and Lori. Otherwise, we still have a quorum. So hopefully they join us soon. I would like to hear a motion to accept the agenda from our meeting on, how about minutes as opposed to agenda, from our meeting on 11/30/21.
I'll
Do I
make
hear
a
a motion?
motion. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from our previous meeting.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, Karen Schultz,
Hi.
Kate Bliss,
Aye.
Pat Wheeler,
Hi.
Bob Blair, aye. So they are accepted. Is either Chris Keefe or Margaret Nardowitz in attendance?
Not yet. They
Okay.
might be coming. So,
They'll be impressed that we were so timely that we started on time.
oh, speaking of which, we now have Rachel in the audience, so she's here now.
Welcome, Rachel.
Perfectly timed.
Absolutely.
It's like she knew that we were
Somehow.
just asking about that.
Yes, right. She was just hovering, waiting for us to assemble. Um,
I don't see her.
She's coming.
I got her.
I should have started off by saying, how is everyone? And did everyone have a good Christmas?
It was good. How was yours, sir?
Nice. It was quiet. We had her daughter home. She just went home today to New York. Nice quiet time. The cats behaved more or less. We went around, actually, she didn't go around with us, but we went around to look at all the Christmas lights ahead of time, and very impressive.
Nice.
Some folks over there near Kate Bliss's house. Oh, it was Kate Bliss's house. They had some really, really cool lighting out there.
Thank you.
And further up the road.
Yes, Gordon does quite a job there.
And then we went down South Street and there was a power outage, except at this one house that seemed to be taking all the electricity. It looked like a nuclear bomb had gone off on a horizon as you approached it. It was quite amazing. But they actually came in second to the one out on West Street, which was also very cool. But I like this. I like their spirit because sure, think of her name. The Lee's.
Julie.
Julie Lee's husband had some comment on Berlin Neighbors Connect about him coming after you next year. You did a great job, but I just went to Lowe's and I bought another dozen reindeer. Something really, that's very cool.
Nice.
Nice attitude, not like you cheated. It was fake news or any of that. It's
Yeah.
good to see. And we actually had, well, we had window lights, that was it, and had a wreath on the door. Oh no, we had two little lighted tree things on our deck out back, which when it doesn't rain, stay lit, but when it rains, they go out. I have no clue what that's about. It's something else. So everybody else was good on Christmas. Santa came to your house, knew where you lived.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
Didn't
was
leave
nice.
coal. Didn't leave coal in your stockings.
Nope,
All
not
right.
this year.
Must have done something right.
I try.
That's what my wife says about me. He's very trying. I'm not quite sure what that means, but it may be a compliment.
No comment.
Right. Financial updates, Mademoiselle Victoria.
All right. So for the month of December thus far, we are at $37 even for donations. Expenses are $520.12. And my wages are $2,418.80.
And those donations come from people who are taking Tai Chi or
Tai
Meals on
Chi and
Wheels
Yoga.
or-
Tai Chi and Yoga. As of this point, though, due to the rising COVID numbers, they're both virtual until COVID
Yeah.
numbers go down.
Yeah. Boy, that's the house guest that won't go away. It's unbelievable. What a pain in the neck. We have not gotten any donations from, although we wouldn't necessarily directly, but we haven't gotten any donations from Meals on Wheels recipients.
Not as of yet. Nothing, at least that I've seen.
Somebody
We-
asked me about it and I said, well, I mean, if you obviously can't give it to the drivers if you wanted to, could give it to the COA, or you could send it directly to MOC, which are the people who actually put the meal together. But I don't know. I think they meant I was saying that they couldn't or shouldn't or something, because I don't think anybody's received a bag of money anywhere.
People can make donations if they wanted it specified solely for Meals on Wheels. What we would do then is we could contribute it towards driver wages, or we could put it as part of a general, or we could put it as part of like a general donation to MOC or to WEAV or something like that.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. As far as I know, unless somebody hasn't informed me, the drivers, I being one, are not paid. It's just they get
You
reimbursed.
can submit for mileage.
Yeah, I know, but it's kind of a joke.
Adds up.
I
Up to you.
haven't yet, and I just rack it up at the end of the year. I figure how many miles I drove and put that times the 2 cents a mile that the government gives you, and I put it on my tax return.
Okay. It's up to you.
I'm
Totally up to
making a killing on it. I'm thinking of upgrading now to a Lexus, but I don't know. All right. Anyway, the Meals on Wheels have been a little weird. Supposed to have 7 today, which is down from the high of 11. I think some people are maybe away on vacation or whatever.
Hmm.
And one I delivered to the door today, and she wasn't there. A relative was there clearing out her apartment. Apparently she's moved, but they didn't think to tell Mark. And I can't tell them. The person receiving it has to say. So I'm down to 6, but I added one today. So it's always interesting. And now they're delivering not to Clinton Senior Center. They deliver the food in 2 containers to the town offices. And they put them in a little vestibule just inside the outer doors, which works, except you wind up, I buy bags, so it's easier to hand them to people. And I take their stuff and put it in the bags, but without a table, you end up doing it on the floor, which is kind of ratty, but no one's died from it yet, so I guess it isn't too bad. Not that I know of. I mean,
I'll leave it up to you. If you want to start coming in, like, I don't know what time you're coming in the morning to get the meals, because they're in by the time I arrive. If you wanted to, I can certainly let you in, and we can get the stuff and either bring it downstairs, or I can bring up another table.
well, I have a fob. I can actually go in the building. At first they were talking about they'd go in and call the police on the phone there and have them open the door to the inner lobby and then the door to the space where the receptionist was. And I thought, what good is that?
No.
Both the other driver and I have fobs, so we can get into the inner lobby, but even that's you know, the guy arrives at 7. I don't start delivering at 7 because I'd be knocking on people's doors for an hour and a half till they woke up. So I
Right,
just go there at 8, divvy it up and deliver. And I think she's doing the same thing.
okay. Okay,
So seems to be working out. And we, as I say, we added one more person today. I think a couple of people will come back. We'll probably settle out at around 8 or 9. But
okay.
I don't know if there are other people in town who could use it. If anybody knows of somebody, you could mention to them it's available.
We can do a plug for Mary McKelk too, and I can send
Sure.
some updates over to Northbrook and just, we'll see.
Yeah,
And
All right.
have
I actually
Peg
have
Stone
nobody.
mention it.
Yeah, I have actually nobody at Northbrook right now, whereas I had 4. 2
Okay.
moved away, and I think 2 are, I don't know, on vacation or something. Very well. Tai Chi, yoga, and bus.
So Tai Chi and Yoga are virtual as of
Right.
now. We
Yep.
had our last in-person Tai Chi last week. So both are in agreement. They're both filming here and it's being recorded and it's going up to YouTube and cable access once they're edited. So they both have ongoing links. Just, we basically did the same thing for Tai Chi that we did for yoga. Just an ongoing link. People just click every week, get in, and good to go that way. And Jeff is very tech savvy, so it's not going to be an issue. So good news, I have hired, well, there's offers letters out to 2 bus drivers. One of whom is going to be driving with us pretty much like I would say 15 to 20 hours a week. And then the other one is a per diem. Both have driven for other towns before. So our main bus
Excellent.
driver, he has driven for Ashburnham for both the town and for Mart. And then our per diem has driven for Boylston and for Clinton. So the
Perfect.
only thing that I need for our main bus driver is just to get him CPR recertified. Otherwise, everything else for him is done. So as soon as I can get him into a CPR first aid class, I have reached out to Chief Clark. He's going to get back to me as soon as the town offers one. But if I can find him a sooner one, I'll get him in there. And that's it. He's got physical, everything else is in, paperwork's done. So yay. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so good news will be, what we'll probably do is we'll probably stack him. He doesn't live right around the corner. So I want to make sure that we have padded his day. So he's not just coming down for like an hour. So what I'm thinking of doing is having us do 3 days a week just to start, but have him, obviously prioritize any medical needs, but have him maybe do some circuit runs, from like Northbrook to Market Basket Plaza or like Northbrook to Target, things like that, where we can
Sure.
basically kind of get that going so we can have, consistency going that way. But I think it'll be good news. We're still getting called about it. So I'm thrilled, and he's great. He's got a wonderful personality. They both do. There'll be no problem with either of them in the town. So I'm excited.
Excellent news. And what was I going to say? Oh, what are we listing as our capacity now?
So what we'll do is that the van, I believe, has 3 or 4 seats in it currently. I would say at max, we could probably have 3 riders in it at a time, only because we can't put in a lot of the chairs because of the wheelchair ramp accessibility, because between the ramp itself and the mechanisms to hold a wheelchair in place, we have to basically leave like the last third of the van empty. So I would say at this point, we could do 3, potentially maybe up to 4. But I would also say that that's a discretion of driver as well as the, passengers of the van, just because, for those doing like a shuttle to the grocery store, it may be, behooving to have, frequent rides, but take a few people at a time. But, if we needed to, take a few people to like Worcester or Concord or something like that for a doctor's appointment and everybody was in agreement, we could do that.
Okay. So how is this scheduled? Does it scheduled, are the people who are applying, will the people who are applying know how we set this up? In other words, are certain days allocated for medical appointments? So when they talk with their physicians, they should say,
Yeah,
if you can
I'm
get me one
gonna,
on Tuesday.
I'm gonna meet with Peggy on this. I'm thinking that what we'll probably do is maybe have Tuesday be a priority medical appointment day.
Yeah,
And then maybe set aside Wednesday as a round trip day, whether it be to the, Market Basket, Target, Walmart, something, again, that would be
Yeah.
a necessity
Shop-
run.
shopping day.
Yeah, and then, we could do like a half day Thursday, and then that could also be medical appointments, but have that solely be afternoon. Because they have availability Thursday afternoon, so.
How about, how about making one of those 3 days a day for longer rides to medical appointments? If somebody needs to go to Worcester, that's longer than obviously Marlboro. Does anybody go to Clinton?
Not recently. We've had it in the past, though.
And how about down at Concord on Route 2?
We have had a few people go to Acton and Concord. I've basically told people that Concord's as far as we'll go in that direction. Basically cut off is like Concord to Framingham to like
Yeah.
Leominster, Fitchburg, up towards Westford. And that's into Worcester, like that's our circle.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking too now, because it's wintertime, we're also gonna just have to tell people, we're also gonna follow the school bus schedule, and we're also gonna follow, weather reports closely. And if we feel like it's unsafe, because I've already forewarned the drivers, if there's any hint of ice, you're not driving, because that van cannot handle it. And I wouldn't want anybody to be, potentially put at risk. So we're gonna have to see. So for winter time, it may be a little bit of a looser scheduling, but I think once we hit spring, it'll be extremely consistent. At least
What
that's
does
the hope.
what does the Beast have on it for tires?
No clue. I think they're all season tires,
Yeah,
and we're gonna have to get
Okay.
it serviced before it goes back out, because it's been idle for a bit. So I want to get it over to Colonial Ford. That's probably the first thing I'll have him do, is just take it to Colonial Ford and have him get it checked out and just make sure we're good to go for winter.
if that's long range, I can take it over there. I mean, if it's a while before you get the driver there, and then the van's
Yeah.
ready for the drivers.
I think we can get them up and going probably in the next couple weeks. That's what my thought is. So if not, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else on the board have a question or input or suggestion? Where are we advertising its availability?
Haven't yet, because I just needed to make sure that I got the all clear from Margaret to post it. So once I get that, I just got his physical today. That's with Margaret. So as soon as she deems him all medically cleared to go, I can start posting. But my
Okay,
thought
good.
would be, between Facebook, we could do a handout to 19 Carter, general store, post office. We could do our website. We could do Berlin Neighbors Connect. Like, I'm thinking that there's a couple different ways that we can go about this just to get the word out. And, we have our people who've been calling, who basically said, call me as soon as you hire a driver, and
Right.
they're going to be starting in their hours. And most people are like, whatever days that they'll be driving, we'll accommodate our doctor's appointments for. So,
We still have our little blurb on the left lower corner of the Powder House News, which is coming out. Well, this isn't wood.
Soon.
Anyway, if it were, I'd be knocking on it, coming out by the 1st of January, but I'm not quite positive about that.
yeah, it hasn't come yet. So,
No, and it's always dependent on the goofy mail service as well. I know somebody who mailed his rent check to his landlord, and 3 weeks later, the landlord got his rent check.
well, that's helpful.
Not really. It's amazing. It's one of them wonders. All right, anybody else have any comment on Tai Chi, yoga, or bus updates? And now for the real meat on our plate. What's going on with the grab and go meals?
So we are good to go for tomorrow. We have ordered 70 meals.
Ooh,
So we have had 68 orders. So we're gonna have a couple extra meals. I know Pat offered to come and help out. We have a senior tax work-off person who's gonna be delivering majority of the meals tomorrow. Pleasant Street's getting majority of the deliveries. So they're single-handedly taking on Pleasant Street, which will be good. So I've got about 10 or 12 other deliveries that we'll just have to do. Whoever can come and help us out, we can divvy it up. I'll take a few on my way home as well.
Kate's hand is up.
I
Yeah.
was just gonna
can as
say, our neighbors, Bob and Pam Rondo, or Pam Russo and Bob Rondo, volunteered to drive and drop
Oh,
meals.
Mhm.
So,
oh,
Nice.
yeah,
yay.
That's
I
nice.
know, they're very sweet.
Shout out to Bob and Pam.
So
So-
when do you need people to deliver?
So what we're gonna do is chef du jour, the three of them are coming here between 3 and 3:30 tomorrow. I'm gonna have our room 118 set up. So basically what they're doing is they're bringing all of their supplies to basically make the meals. We have about, I would say maybe about a dozen people at most who are coming in person to pick up the meals. So
Right.
what we can do is I've basically told them that once they come in, somebody will be stationed at the door and can run out and just say, confirm your name. We have you down for these meals. Yep. We run down, grab it and just bring it out to them. So
Which
they're not
door?
coming in. So they're not coming in the building,
Oh, which
Um,
door?
just through the main door.
Up top on the main parking lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because it won't be that,
Even-
because by 4 o'clock, it won't be that busy here.
It also starts getting dark, and if they try to get in the lower entrance, they go by the sign that says, don't go this way. Then
Yeah,
they go
so-
around the other way, and there's a sign that says, don't go this way, so.
Right,
Basically.
so I just figured main door is easier. We
Yeah.
don't have that many people who are gonna be coming, and I just told people you just stay in your cars. For some people, I've told them they can always call us and just let us know that they're here in case there's somebody that doesn't come out to greet you in the first couple minutes. But for the most part, I think we're gonna be pretty good. And then everybody else's delivery, and I've told them it's between 4 and 7, but I mean, if we've got a couple crews going at the same time for deliveries, it's probably gonna be, by 5-ish, I would think, 5:30.
Okay,
So,
almost sounds like Panera.
so yeah,
do you
I,
need help, like I could be a person that stands outside and greets people
Yeah,
in the car.
perfect. Yeah,
I'd
that's
rather
totally
not be
fine.
inside, but
No, I totally understand. I mean, my thought is this, at this point, if everybody, like whoever wants to come to help out can come, and we'll assign to whatever people's particular, desires are. So if you'd rather be the one that runs out and says, hey, just want to confirm your order and your name, and you want to do the running, have at it, because I don't feel like doing it. So,
Yeah, I'll be there a little after 4. So whatever you need me
Perfect.
for, I'll jump
Yeah.
in.
Sure.
so yeah, like I said, I mean, I've ordered some meals for myself, so I will be making a donation to the council, I promise. So,
We'll be checking.
oh, I know you will be. You'll be on me. I know you will.
All right, so 3 or 4 o'clock, if anybody's wishing to help out, and the
I'll
crew
be
is
there.
setting up in the main room there?
Yep.
Okay, 3 is the earliest anyone is told they could come and pick up their meal?
4.
4 is, okay,
They're coming. The chef du jour is coming at 3 to set up.
gotcha. So
So
realistically, the meals will be going out 4 o'clock and onward.
4 on. Yep.
Okay. All right.
We do have a bunch of extra waters here. I'll leave it up to you guys. We can include waters with the meals if you guys would like to do that. Just a suggestion.
Water your feelings, board.
That's fine.
yep, fine
Okay.
with that.
That works.
Good.
Okay.
Marvelous. Yeah, let's use them up. I don't know if water goes stale, but that stuff's
Mhm.
been there long enough to have been petrified if water goes bad. All right. Zooming right along, so that's great. The van particularly, and the meals, nice.
I'm glad I could make you happy.
We capital planning and budget review.
So I met with Capital Planning Committee almost 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Just gave them an update on our proposal. So what I believe is going to happen for this fiscal year is that there is going to be some kind of study, whether or not it's a feasibility study, I don't know. But what Margaret wants to do is she wants to take basically an inventory of the various buildings in town, see kind of what condition they're in, get like the basics of what we have for availability for buildings in town. So that's part of what I presented to capital planning. and what we ultimately want to have is our space, for seniors. I have been talking to other departments, and I've been speaking briefly with a couple other towns, and it may behoove us in terms of funding at the very least to kind of go more towards the idea of a senior and community center, or senior / like multi-purpose center, as opposed to just a pure senior center. Because I had spoken with Julie Lee at Recreation, and she said that they would definitely be, hands-on if we built a center where they would have their own spot. Veterans are definitely open, potentially open to it as well. And if we started teaming up with some of the other towns, like either sharing different events, things like that, we may be able to kind of use that as more leverage for funding. Because that's just what I'm trying to think of, is how are we going to pay for this? So my thought is kind of the bigger, the broader, the more we can kind of entertain with it, still have it be meant for seniors, still have it be something that everybody can access, still have it be that we would still have our places for our seniors. But if we had a building that was multi-purpose or a community building, then it would be beneficial to everyone.
Okay. I'd be interested in hearing board members' thoughts on the whole subject of structure and what our structure or the community structure would be, how it would mesh with other structures. And we've got the 1870, we've got 19 Carter, we've got the school. How does all this stuff mesh? I hear the thunder of minds working hard on the issue. I think at some point the town needs to really consider all of its assets and see how they dovetail, so stuff doesn't get duplicated or whatever.
No,
People don't.
and I agree. And I think that us, again, the town having its own study of what's here, what's available, pros, cons for everything, that is definitely needed. And I think, again, for the council's point, us getting our own space, I think, if we were able to be flexible and kind of make a space for seniors, but also have it be like a multi-purpose community building, I think it may help us get more funding, and it may help us get there faster.
Yeah, I think if this building filled in some niches or whatever in other groups' needs, rec committee pops right into mind, that might actually have a bearing on where we might think about locating it.
Yeah, so this is still the early stages. If even down the road, we even, considered the idea of like a regional senior multi-purpose center where we involved other towns as well. Again, it spreads the costs beyond just Berlin. Something
Yeah,
again to think about.
I'm not sure who around us doesn't have a community center of one sort or another. I'm not sure if Bolton does. They have
Bolton does, but Boylston doesn't.
Boylston doesn't.
Mm-mm.
And certainly Hudson does, certainly Northborough does, certainly Westborough does.
Marlborough does. So yeah, so I actually
Lancaster does, yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, and like I said, again, this is the beyond early stages of this at this point. So, we're talking probably 4-ish years out minimally, I would think at this point. So it's just, let's look at all of the potential options, weigh pros and cons, and we proceed from there. But the ball is slowly moving in the right direction. That's what I will say.
I like the idea. I think once the town does some studies and we have more information and see what other groups are thinking, I'm all for it. Sorry I didn't speak earlier. There was
No, it's fine.
thundering crowd in the form
No,
of
it's
two
okay.
young girls running through.
in general, I've looked at about 10 towns or 10 cities, different feasibility studies that they've had. And again, depending on the town and what they wanted, I mean, either renovating and or creating a senior center went anywhere from 1.3 million up like well past 10 million. So it's like, obviously we would be more towards the smaller end of this spectrum. And the state with the state ARPA funding did reward Brockton with $1 million towards their senior center. So the good news is that it looks like that there is potential funding out there. And like I said, if we can kind of check off more of the boxes as to what this funding or potential funding is going to want, then we could say, hey, look, it's not only just doing this, it's doing boom, 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 boom. And that may give us more justification or at least more likelihood of additional funding that's not just pure Berlin tax dollars.
Are you
Which is
aware
what-
of any, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Are you aware of any group that is being set up, or that Margaret or the select board is thinking of setting up to study?
That
sort of
is,
need?
yep. So Margaret is, I did talk to capital planning, and during the presentation, they were talking about having the town, have a sort of feasibility study just to look at everything, because that has been something that Margaret has, wanted to do. It's already kind of started, but it hasn't been fully completed as of yet. So, and it is something that I think, again, the town needs to know, what they have in terms of assets, things like that. So that is, I think, going to happen. In terms of next steps after that I'm not 100% sure of.
We should also have, in addition to whatever state funding's out there and whatever the town might allocate through appropriations approved by the voters at a town meeting, we also have the funds in the Community Preservation Act pot that have been growing, and will, I guess, a significant amount of money from that source will be used this year for a number of different things. And I'm also wondering about the feds are doing this Build Back Better, have that, and are doling out money to communities and states. So that may be a bit of an urgency, actually, because I don't see that being an everlasting pot. It's going to be there and used fairly
Right.
rapidly.
I mean, I can say in terms of ARPA funding, which is federal funding, we're guaranteed, I believe, for the next 3 fiscal years. So, and that money will be coming back to Berlin for the next, I believe, 3 fiscal years. And I don't know the particulars as of yet for Build Back Better, but if it's set up in a similar structure, again, it does give us some time. So I would, I don't want us to jump into anything with the thought of, oh goodness, like now we've got to, do this before this money, either goes away or something like that. I want to make sure that whatever, is decided upon, that it's done rationally, that we look at all of our options and we do what's best for everybody involved. And that we make something that, we're going to grow into, because that is something else, as people continue to age, again, bulk of the Berlin population of those 40 and older. So this isn't just, what to consider now, it's what do we consider even 20 years from now? Because again, those people will also become seniors. So, I want to make sure that whatever, is decided upon, that we do so, we take our time, and that, it's not something that in 10 years we're like, oh crap, now we need to we need to have another renovation done because now we've outgrown our space or something like that. I want to make sure that whatever it is that we decide to do, we know it's good to go, and we'll get use out of it for numerous years to come.
Yeah, it would avoid the situation that Worcester County got into when they built the Palace of Justice in Worcester there, and even before it was construction was started, and they had already decided the size was already too small,
Right.
and they didn't even have space for a law library or adequate cafeteria space for the people who occupy it, but sure cost a lot.
Yeah, and that will be something too, is, again, we're looking at a list of different things of like, what is a must have versus a what would we
Right.
like versus
Right.
like what would we want if we get additional funding for. So that's gonna also be part of our punch list as well. So, and the good news is, like I said, we've got plenty of time. We can get plenty of feedback. I'm, again, knowing Berliners as I do, we will get the feedback, which is good. So we can take that and we can use it positively to tweak.
I'm just thinking about the situation at South Common and lamenting once again, but it doesn't do any good to lament because it's already a done deal. We didn't jump on that parcel that Rhodes is now building 12 or 16 houses on. I had no idea that it took a right turn toward the end of what you could see and is actually an extensive piece of property that could have added to the South Common. That said, there still looks to me like a lot of flat land around that's not being used on the South Common. And it's close enough to Northbrook 1 and 2 that it would be cool if something were developed sort of over in that corner that would then enable the town to justify making a walking path that would lead up to Northbrook 1 and 2 so that people could walk to resources. And I think the reason that whole idea of having the walking path not go up there is because Northbrook 2 owns the land that the path would be on, and the management company handling that right now doesn't want the liability of somebody tripping on the path. But if somehow that could be, I don't know, even an eminent domain situation, if you had everything else laid out, set up, and that could be included except for the liability concern of the present management, then I could see that as a great asset right in that corner. And you've got so much other stuff in that area.
Well, I think it's definitely worth exploring.
Yep.
We'll leave it at that. It's definitely worth looking into, and
Okey-doke.
time will tell.
Yep. Well, we could rhapsodize about other possibilities in that area, but we can hold off on that. Upcoming events. Well, we already know about the meal, grab and go. What else?
So we've got a few things that are definitive and then a few things in the works. So one of which is we actually got a call a few weeks ago from the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. They are doing a virtual tour of part of their museum. So what they're doing is they're offering it like a Zoom group. So basically, what they're asking towns is for $400, you get 100 virtual seats to this event. And people from the privacy of their own home can go and can see and can explore parts of their museum, like specific exhibits.
How much did you say that was?
400.
400?
For 100 slots, but suppose you offered it with the option of having people being able to buy one of the slots to expand the $400 so that more than 100 people could see it, because we have 700 senior households in town.
Right. And I mean, again, it was just something it's not formally in the works yet. Sign up process isn't, I believe she said it was February. So we've got time, but I just wanted to see if it was something that the council would be interested in pursuing. I think it's cool. I mean, but I want to know what you guys think.
I saw a hand sneak up from Kate. I saw a thumb.
I think
and a
it's
hand.
interesting. I'd also be interested to see if they can do over 100,
Yeah.
if more people are interested.
Yeah.
Did
Because
they
what we could do
specify
too is we could even ask them if for any reason it is capped to 100, we could ask them if we would have their consent to have it be recorded for cable access. I can ask that too, once
That's
it
a good
comes to
idea.
registration.
So what is the 100-person thing? Is that just a multiple of $4 each, or is that's as much as they can get out, or what's the deal?
I think like their particular link or their particular group can hold up to 100 different logins, which is why.
In one swell foop, or is it?
Yeah, I believe so.
So maybe we could have more than one swell foop.
And that's another consideration as well.
Well, the initial one might be a good test to see if there's
Yeah.
a lot of interest. And if we have a bunch of people saying, hey, I'd like to have been in on that. We said, well, as a matter of fact, they have offered the opportunity to do it again. And as many of you as sign up by da-da-da-da, they'll do it.
Yep. So that's my thought.
Board, what are your thoughts?
Oh, sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, so do we want a formal vote to say that we approve engaging them at least up to the $400 amount? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a
Motion.
motion. I'll
Two
second it.
motions. Yeah, okay, so we got a motion and a second. All those in favor of pursuing the $400 option for 100 slots for seeing the some of the holdings of some of the goodies that the Museum of Fine Arts has, say aye. Karen Schultz,
Aye.
Rachel Boyer,
Aye.
is Lori Fairbay in yet?
Uh-uh.
Nope. Kate Bliss,
Aye.
Pat Wheeler,
I,
Bob Blair, yes, aye, me, us. Good, so is anyone else? We were waiting on Lori and who else? That was it?
That was it.
Okay. Good. So consider it a yes for the MFA.
Will
That's
do.
wonderful. Wonderful.
All right. So what else is pending is the Center for Living and Working. They are a nonprofit based out, I believe, of Worcester. I got an email from them about a month ago. We're setting up particulars for a webinar sometime in January, beginning of February, the latest, about people who may have a range of varying, intellectual abilities, just basically what their programs offer and how it could be a benefit to potential Berliners. So that I think will be really cool. And then there is a regional program that
Whoa, can you elaborate on that a little bit? I'm not quite getting what it is they're offering us.
So the Center for Living and Working, basically what they're going to do is they're going to do an overview of all of their programs and how it could potentially pertain to seniors, people of varying abilities, and just kind of what they do.
Are theirs virtual programs or hands-on
Yeah.
or both?
Theirs are hands-on. This presentation is purely virtual.
Okay, but when COVID lightens up, theoretically, people could then partake of the hands-ons?
Potentially. Yep.
Sounds good. And this would be something we could broadcast over Berlin Cable? And also, do we have any other visual outlet beside Berlin Cable?
YouTube.
Have we done that before?
Oh yeah.
We have.
Yeah, we've got stuff on there now. Go check it out. It's really good.
Okay. So you were saying about the regional virtual program.
So we were contacted a couple months ago by somebody who's doing basically, she's doing various webinars about like senior theft, identity theft, and basically ways to keep seniors safe, both like in person and virtually. And there is a regional collaboration with Clinton, Bolton, Air, Harvard. There's a Shirley, I think. There's a bunch of them that they're doing the presentation on February 17th. So I signed Berlin up for it as well. So it's going to be a virtual, she's going to basically be doing this presentation, and then we're opening it up to all the towns that are participating.
So this is on our site and on the town site?
Will be, yeah. I am waiting for a formal flyer from them because she just has to confirm everything, timing and things like that. So, but once I get the formal details, it will be everywhere.
Okay, and did I miss you saying what actually is the content?
I believe that this one is, I want to say it's something about like keeping yourself safe, like secure online, I believe.
Okay.
But she did, like, this person offers like 20 different virtual webinars. So I figured, this again is our beta test. So if it goes off well, then we can request more.
Okay, so we could continue on to their webinar about how to beat the odds at Foxwood for people who like to go down there and that sort of thing.
Hey, what you do in your own time.
Well, okay. Powder House News.
So yeah, as Bob said earlier, we're pending the box for the papers. Everything else is ready to go. I just want to make sure, as we continue moving forward with Powder House, I'm gonna push hard for the council to continue doing different things during, its 2-month span. And I want to make sure that, whatever good work the council's doing, take pride in it. We celebrate our accomplishments in it. I want to make sure that we do, include, again, other town departments and other things going on in the town as well. It is important. But I just also want to make sure too that, we always center it as it's basically like our newsletter, it's our almost like, hey, like, look at what we're doing kind of a thing. Just because I know sometimes it can be tough because we get, 40,000 different people with different content ideas and stuff like that. So I just want to make sure that no matter what, our stuff always gets the priority.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I think our aim has been so far to make sure it has content that is interesting and applicable and useful to seniors. Certainly anything the COA does, I sure and hope and I'm certain would be in that category. So yeah, we don't want to slight any of that. Does anybody think the meet your town movers thing is a worthwhile section to continue? Does anybody think it isn't?
What we could do is, again, depending on the month and the content that what we have, we could do, meet your mover shaker, one issue. We could do a history of Berlin, another issue. Again, like we could have it be alternating. So just in case content gets tight, but again, if content's lighter for that month, we can load it up too with different things going on in town. I just want to make sure, again, like I think it is important that seniors know everything that's going on in town. I want to make sure COA is the spotlight, and then we kind of branch out from there to the other departments and things like
Yeah,
that.
I will say that on the last issue or two, it's not like content drops into our laps. In fact, I've had to go out in some cases and really hunt for it and ask people to please get in content. And so it's not like we're bulging at the seams on content. I understand what you're saying, but
we can
also,
always, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I've seen other COA newsletters, and sometimes they have a gazillion little boxes about this, that, and the other thing happening in town relevant to seniors. And ours has tended to be as much of that as we're offered from the various groups in town who help and deal with seniors, but also the calendar, for instance, is a new addition that has been sought. And so that does cover pretty much everything in town that's relevant to seniors.
I would
But
say
I'm also hoping that and I have to see in this edition, is if our information that went out to liturgical press about other potential advertisers has been used. And if it has, if it's increased the money they get from advertising, because that would offer us an opportunity to add 2 pages. And who knows, it could end up being the Saturday Evening Post if we really got whacked with tons of advertising, which I'm not holding my breath about, but I think at this point, we're not really overwhelmed with content offers.
I was going to say, if we're struggling to find content, why are we eager to add 2 more pages that we then have to fill?
Well, because there is the possibility to add more features. Like we have the Meet Your Movers, we have the 5 Ws, which focuses on stuff people have found interesting.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it's interesting, which I think those things are. And also, the meet your
Like, if you
movers.
build it, he will come. If we expand it, the content will come.
Yeah. Yeah, I think partly that. So, yeah, I don't want to leave anything out. Absolutely not leave anything out that has a direct connection to the COA. But I also would like it to be interesting on a broader scale. So I think it has been thus far.
What we could do too is, instead of necessarily having the push like we do every time that the deadline comes, we could even ask particular people who do contribute to, if they have like 2 or 3 stories cataloged, we can get them. It will make it easier for us, again, if we do wind up expanding the count, the powder house, if it needs to be that like I write something, like a little blurb, like from Victoria, or like, if the council wants to write a blurb, we could have like, from your council, from your COA,
Sure.
we could do things like that where we could definitely keep it engaged. I would say right now, the only issue that I'm having with the calendar is that there's a lot of things that that's going on here. But the problem is, because we're posting out, a month or 2 ahead of time, I don't necessarily have things finalized unless I know it's something that's standing. A lot of the things that I'm kind of coordinating for the council, I have maybe a few weeks notice on at most. So what we could do, at least for the council, is we could say like, to be determined, or like to be announced, and we could have like a list of things that like the council is working on, and we
Sure.
can even tell people like check back on our website, or call the council just to get confirmation about this stuff, because as soon as I get that confirmation, I post,
Yeah,
and
that's
that
actually
may
great
make it
idea.
easier.
Yeah, it is.
that's
Yeah, it's a good
actually
idea.
it's actually every organization's dilemma a little bit, is we're doing something that's 2 months, the end of which is 2 months hence. And they haven't, like the Berlin seniors I know, hadn't locked in a couple of the things that they're hoping to do in January or February. So yeah, we can definitely say, tune in this group or that group because they have something in the works, but they haven't determined a date yet. So here's the number to call for that.
Yeah. So that may be, and that would actually take up, I would think, a whole page itself, just between like the calendar, and if, like I said, the council had something, again, we could have that be in the bottom, or, like we had mentioned on the last issue about the school committee meeting, if there were like important meetings, like a town, basically like like a town meeting where it had to be votes or something like that, we could, post that down and just say, but check into Town of Berlin website to get additional details or information that way.
And you have also said, Victoria, in the past, and as have others, that from time to time, it would be interesting to have a little poll or a questionnaire about what people are interested in, or if they're interested, or if they'd like to volunteer, and so forth.
Yeah, and it might help us out to, again, get that feasibility information for expanding without without it costing us $1 bazillion between printing and mailing and everything else. It's like we're already paying for it once.
Yep.
Just get it out.
Yep. We can piggyback on the town clerk's postings in some cases, but again, you're looking at stuff that's ahead, and that's can be tricky.
And I mean, Elle always has her hands full just trying to get that all organized too. So yeah.
And we do tap their office because we're asking them for the mailing list for seniors, and for labels, and for listing all those who have passed on between the 2 editions, the succeeding editions.
Yep. So that's what we're looking at.
Okie doke. Has anybody got anything in mind for what would it be, Jenna? March, April Powder House News?
I would maybe suggest us maybe putting in 2 or 3 questions about, expansion.
Okay, you want to work
Doesn't
on that?
have to be anything huge, but we could even just start there.
All right, you want to work on that?
Mhm.
Goody. All right. And we do have Meet Yours coming up. I think, a new police chief's in this one. And
Yes.
who else did we?
Sandra Pendergast.
That's right, Sandra, who's now the director of the 1870 Town Hall. And I've asked, I think there are 3 others in the pipeline who are willing to do bios with photograph who could be used. So that would give us another issue and a half's worth of that. And still another person could be asked for the May, June, for instance. And then on the, I don't have any, I'm not aware of any stories on the 5Ws coming up, but I know there are people in town we can tap. Barry Ager just did this one. And that's on the 1870 town hall. But there certainly are other subjects we can cover. And so.
What about
keep your
Walter
bo-
Bickford? He's
Yeah, he's,
also a wealth of information and likes to share and.
yep, he did do his story about 2 editions ago. But I'm sure that's one of many that
Many.
he could speak to. And Barry Ager has done 2 for us now. He did the one on the Powder House and now the 1870 town hall. Yeah, so there are people in town who are really storytellers in their own right who could definitely be sources. Okay. 2022 projects.
So we've got a few in the works. So Evie asked if I would be willing to go over to 19 Carter and do some work with people over there. I've been taking on a lot of projects here now in my new role, but I did tell her that if she would like, I'm more than willing to go over and do a presentation for everybody over there on what Council on Aging offers and everything like that. So I'm just waiting to hear back from her on that. We're looking, again, looking more towards like the senior/community center, the feasibility for that, and then any upcoming collaborations that we can do. So I will be meeting with Sandra Pendergast over at 1870 Town Hall at some point in the new year, just to talk about, potential ways that we could use that space, and maybe, organize a couple of events. Recreation Committee, I told you guys, is on board with multi-purpose center with us. And then I have reached out to the Bolton COA director, Lisa Dion, very nice lady. We talked at length last week, and she is completely on board with Bolton and Berlin doing some collab events going forward. So if there was something bigger that we would want to particularly do, but it would be a chunk of our budget, or it would be something that we would need a big turnout to have it be worth our while, we could have it be like a dual event between the 2 towns.
And you mentioned Boylston also, who's part of our school district.
Potentially, yep. So, so there's a way that we could potentially like expand things, working with some other towns as well. I did talk to Judy Mills about the Twinkle Tour, and I even mentioned this to Lisa Dion at Bolton, that we would love to kind of have like a town versus town maybe for next year for the Twinkle Tour. And Lisa Dion thought it was a great idea to have like Bolton versus Berlin, and if we could potentially get some of the other towns involved, it'd be, I think, kind of cool.
It's funny you said that, because on the Twinkle Tour, if you went up, if you went up Peach Hill Road, you got along there, and then it's the houses with lights sort of petered out a little bit. And then we went just a little bit further, and there's this one mind blower of a house. And I thought, wow, how is that not on our list? Well, it turns out we just passed the sign that says Bolton.
Yeah.
So they're literally just over the line in Bolton.
Yeah. So, I think it'd be really cool to do that as well. So, so that's part of it. I have reached out to Berlin Memorial. I had asked them if there may be a way for seniors during wintertime, because I'm really worried about it, especially now with COVID running up again, if maybe we could do a pen pal program. So having the kids write to some of the seniors and vice versa. And depending on how COVID goes, we could maybe even try to orchestrate a meet your pen pal day, like down in the spring, COVID acceptable and outdoors and, all that jazz. So the principal did let me know that he was going to talk to some of the teachers, but he loved the idea. And I think it's just, I don't know exactly what to do in terms of, raising spirits during the winter months, but I think we should try to do something. I don't know if even making like little, like home kits of like cocoa and popcorn or, something like that might be nice. Just, just something to look forward to, just
like
because
that.
I
like
know,
That sounds really good.
just
I
because
love
like,
that idea.
I'm not sure of exactly what to do. I mean, we're going to continue to offer everything, and I'm hoping that Omicron, the numbers do go down, but I also understand people being fearful, especially now that it's so cold out, that now we can't meet outside. I want to make sure that we can, make everybody be aware, young or old, that we are here, we care, we want to make sure that they know that they're not forgotten about. So that's
Somebody
also
suggest-
part of,
After
go
you.
ahead. No, go
After
ahead.
you. Nope.
I was just saying that's also part of the challenge is now being social services director. So
Yeah.
it's how to get everybody. So
Somebody
working on it.
Somebody suggested at one point offering anybody interested bringing a bucket of sand with a little scoop of some kind to people's homes that they could leave just inside the door or whatever, so they could sand just outside the door when it gets like it was this morning.
We had sand sitting for about a year and a half. Highway took it to use to help sand the roads. But if that winds up being an overwhelming request, I'm sure we could procure more.
Okay, how was it advertised in that instance?
Well, it was something along the lines of, it was here, I didn't know really what to do with it. Highway said they could always use sand. What I would suggest going forward is that maybe a poll question in a future thing of Powder House of, hey, would you find some of this stuff to be of use? And that may be one of the questions that we ask. So before we purchase and or acquire anything, we know how it's going to be received.
It gives rise to the thought for a new column. We could call it bucket list.
Literally.
Mhm.
See if anybody wants. You want sand, you want cocoa, you want popcorn. What do you want?
I mean, I'm food driven, so anything food related, I'm in. But
Okay, Cocoa Puffs, there we go.
there we go.
All right, any other business up anybody's sleeve or on top of their minds?
Just the only other thing for you guys is I found a whole bunch of old meeting minutes that were digital. So I started uploading them to my town government. Going back to like 2018, 2019, they're not all up there yet. I didn't put down that they were approved or anything like that because there's nothing on there indicating that they were all approved, but they're at this point pretty much draft form. So
The town clerk has indicated that she would like to have a collection of all of the meeting minutes.
yeah, as long as I gotta just find through them all. But if I can get them all and organized, I'll make sure she gets a copy.
Okay, anything else we need from the town clerk, aside from the deaths, mailing labels? I'm still working on the veteran side, trying to get a comprehensive list of all the town's veterans. Boy, it's like pulling teeth.
Did you talk to Jim Cabral or?
Yeah,
Okay.
he gave me a list, and then the clerk had one, and then the clerk had another one.
So-
Yeah, and then there's the Berlin vets themselves have an American Legion post in town, and they had a list, but they just kind of need to be accurately combined.
Gotcha. Okay. Another
Anyone
challenge.
else? Anyone else out there in board land?
Nope.
Nothing?
Mhm.
All right. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, our next meeting, January 31st, 2022, I assume.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, motion.
I hear a second. Laurie Fairbay, not here. Why did I say that? I don't know. I already knew she wasn't here. Karen Schultz,
Aye.
Rachel Boyer,
Aye.
Kate Bliss,
Aye.
Pat Wheeler,
I
Bob Blair, aye. Thank you all for coming.